Hey folks, Dr. Mike Israetel here for Renaissance Periodization, Hypertrophy Made Simple video series number 8, How Often Should You Train? If you want more details, on our website, the Hypertrophy Guide Central Hub, and on this YouTube channel, more of the long form videos which explain all these topics in much greater depth and scope. So, how many weekly sessions should you do for the same muscle group? Like how many times should you train chest per week? Well, it depends on how hard you train in each session. You can train again when the muscle that you're trying to train can perform at its normal level or a bit higher. Okay, if performance is lower and lower and lower, every time you train, you get worse. So if the muscle is recovered or better, you can train it again, right? And the muscle is no longer sore. You don't want a ton of overlapping soreness. Always trains when you're sore, increases your injury risk, and it probably just does so much damage, it interferes with growth directly. So here's the thing. Because you choose how much training you can do, it really alters your frequency. So if you do something like 4 sets per session, let's say chest, you just do 4 sets of bench, that means you might be able to do 4 sessions of chest per week because you recover super quick from that. No big deal. But if you do something like 8 sets per session, maybe you can only train twice a week because it takes longer to recover. Both of those are absolutely totally fine. Anything under 2 to 4 sets per muscle per session, like if you do just 2 sets of biceps or 1 set of biceps and leave, then you might just combine it into fewer sessions because you're just showing up to the gym more than necessary. There's no reason to split up muscle groups or in your training into that frequent of a split. It just doesn't offer any advantages. You just have to just show up to the gym more often, and you're actually probably wear and tear more on your joints because your joints never get a break. You're always training that same muscle group. On the other hand, anything over 12 sets per muscle per session is better to split up. So if you say, okay, either I do 15 sets of chest on only Monday, or I do like 7 or 8 sets of chest on Monday, 7 or 8 sets on Thursday, that second option is much better. So anything over 12, you want to split up. Anything under like, 2 to 4, you probably just want to condense into other training. The result is that for a muscle group, anything between 2 and 6 sessions per week is totally fine as long as you consider your own personal ability to recover and you're managing the volume per session very well. The thing is, with higher frequencies, you actually end up doing more total work per week, which is actually a way to hypertrophy faster, but it's not as sustainable specifically on your systemic ability to recover and the joints and connective tissues involved. So you can do high frequency training for short bursts of several months at a time, but you probably need to back away from that every now and again. What about total sessions per week? Okay, so we're not talking about like for chest. We're talking about how many times you show up to the gym. And it really depends on your training age. Adherence is everything. You don't want to burn people out. So here's the deal. Beginners probably are best doing 2 to 4 total sessions per week that's training their whole body. They just come to the gym 2 to 4 times. Why? You don't want to burn them out. You can always give them more and they'll respond better. Here's the thing. They don't need to respond better because they make great gains anyway. And because you don't want to burn them out, but they make great gains from easy training anyway, you might as well just make it easy. And you want to make it a little bit easy, not enough training for them to really, really want it because you want to ignite the desire for more. It's like feeding someone appetizers. It just makes them hungrier. So it's great to have beginners do a little bit less, err on the side of less, than a little more because a little more might burn them out really bad. A little less might just make them crazy for training, which is what you want anyway, right? And this means because you're only training 2 to 4 sessions a week, almost all beginner programs will be every single muscle, every single session. So it's basically whole body every single time. No big deal. Once someone is an intermediate level trainee, then it's maybe 3 to 6 sessions per week total. Why? Well, they won't burn out from any more sessions like 5 or 6 because they love training at this point. That's how they got to be intermediates. They just didn't quit. Also, they just need more sessions to do their muscles justice. Like whole body sessions are cool if you rotate stuff around, but if you do 2 whole body sessions, a lot of the muscles are just really at the end of the session. You're doing tons of work. It's just not enough. You do more like 3, 4, 5, and 6, then you're really getting a lot more work done. And intermediates need more work because they're less growth responsive than beginners. And this is where split programs become more common. They're not required. You can still do whole body training, but just rotate what you do first. But this is where push-pulls start to come in handy, upper, lower, so on and so forth. What about advanced? Advanced folks can benefit best from 5 to 12 sessions per week. How the hell do you do 12? We'll get to that in a second. So Each muscle needs to be first in its session at least once a week because muscles are now really resistant to growth. If you always train biceps after back, you're not going to get the biggest biceps you can. At least one time a week, biceps need to go first in a training session. And because you have a lot of muscles, if every muscle has to go first in a training session, that's going to be a lot of training sessions because you have more than like 4 muscles on your body, right? It's more than 4 muscle groups. Maybe, if we're charitably counting, at least 8 or something like that, right? And at this point, each muscle is so hard to train and requires so much stimulus for growth and requires you to be fresh and causes so much fatigue that a lot of the sessions have sort of condensed down to only 2 or 3 muscles per session. A beginner can train quads and chest and back and shoulders and legs in the same session. An advanced person won't do that. They might train just chest and back, or maybe even that's too much. They might train back and biceps or chest and triceps, or just legs and maybe not even all of legs. They might train quads and glutes on one session because that's enough, and anything more would just be way too fatiguing and not worth the trade-off. Here's the thing. If you are advanced and you can only train 5 or 6 days a week, you need to start doing emphasis, de-emphasis rotation cycles where you put some of the muscles as the ones you train first, the priority ones, for a few months. Let's say chest on the front burner, quads on the front burner, back on the back burner. You do back later in the workouts on the same ones you do chest. Hamstrings, you always do after quads. So for a while, back and hamstrings are really not making a ton of progress. They're growing a little bit, maybe just maintaining, and your chest and quads are growing. After a few months, you switch the rotation where it's back first, chest last, and then it's hamstrings first, quads last, and then those muscles get the emphasis. Because if you just train, I always train my back after my chest, your back's not going to grow much as an advanced person. Your chest will continue to get much bigger than your back, and that's not something you want if you want a balanced physique. But the most advanced way to train here is double daily sessions. So if you're really super seriously committed, you don't want to do a ton of rotation because that means you're maintaining some muscles for a long time. You might be able to do double daily sessions. Not every single day is a double day, but some are double days. So for example, 8 sessions per week. That means 6 sessions. You do, Monday through Saturday, you train every single time, Sunday's off. And then maybe on Monday and Thursday, you also do another session. So you do a smaller muscle group later in the day. So that's 8 sessions per week. You could do 10 sessions per week and even 12 sessions per week. What you don't want to do is train every day. At least one day out of every week should be completely off to recycle and recoup everything. Folks, thanks for tuning in. See you next time.